Hi everyone, Christina here. Welcome to another video at my YouTube channel and blog. Today I'm going to be using this stamp set from Mama Elephant, and they actually came out with a stamp set that's very similar to this one. I did a video with it last year, so if you'd like to see it, I'll have it linked up in the top corner. For today's card, I'm starting out with some black cardstock from Gina K Designs, and I've cut it to be 5.5 inches wide by 4 1/4 tall, and that's going to be the entire front of a standard size card. So I used my anti-static powder tool and put down quite a bit of powder. I want to make sure I get a really good impression and that I can emboss it later. And then I inked up the stamp with Versamark ink and pressed it down onto this black cardstock, walking my fingers over the MISTI tool to make sure I get a really good impression. I'm using Brutus Monroe Alabaster embossing powder. This is a nice bright white embossing powder. And I'm just using a spoon to scoop some of the embossing powder up and transferring it to my project. And I'll tap that with the spoon to help get any excess off the cardstock. And then hit that with my heat tool until it was smooth and melted. You want to make sure all of those areas are completely melted before moving on to the next step. I'm now taking some blue painter's tape and just taping this down to a board. I'm going to be doing a technique that I've been thinking about for quite some time and just hadn't had a chance to try it out. I'm going to do painting with gouache, with white gouache specifically, and I just wanted to see if it would be possible to sort of get a really monochromatic look using just white gouache. Now, if you're unfamiliar with gouache, it's a little bit like watercolors, except it's more opaque. So instead of having this white be completely transparent, it's actually quite opaque. And if you want it to be more transparent, you can add more water to it. So while I was painting these flowers, my idea was to have the edges of the petals be most white and then let the paint get a little bit more transparent near the center of the flower so that it would look like there was a little bit of a shadow in the center of the flower. Now that was my initial thought, and I kept with that for most of this painting, but as I moved more toward the right side, I started just putting down a bunch of paint. I just wanted to just see what it would do, what would happen. And so in the final card, you'll be able to see that the right side looks a little bit different from the left. The left side has a little bit more detail in the painting compared to the right side. Neither of them is right or wrong. It's just a different look. And I just got a different result from each side. So after I had pretty much all of the white flowers painted, I decided to try tinting the gouache to a different color. So I'm using Forest Moss Distress ink, and I'm just using Forest Moss so that I can tint that white gouache to be a little bit more of a green color. So as you can see me mixing it in, and I'm just going to start painting all of the leaves. So when I first started painting the leaves, I realized that the green color was really, really pale, and it wasn't showing up as much as I thought it would. I think if I was to do this again, I would add even more of that ink to try to get the green color to be a little bit more different from the white. I think it was just a little bit too pale. So eventually I did add a little bit more distress ink and repainted some of those areas to make sure that the leaves were a nice distinct green. But at the same time, I really did kind of like the different tones of the pale pastel green. I think it worked well. So I'm painting in all of these different areas. Having the entire design heat embossed gives it a little bit of some height on those lines. So it helps keep that paint within the center area. It kind of creates walls around those areas. So I'm peeling off my blue painter's tape and decided I didn't want to cut down my card, so I just finished up that little gap in that flower on the side to make sure it was completely painted in. And on the other side, the tape didn't really interfere. So now I'm going to use a Gelly Roll pen. This is the size 10 or the bold, and I'm going to use my T-square ruler to draw a border around this entire card. And I'm going to have it be about 1/2 inch from the edge. I'm just eyeballing it. I didn't measure it or anything. And I really wanted to talk about this Jelly Roll pen. Sakura came out with 2 additional widths for their white Jelly Roll pens recently, and this is the bold version. The one that they had been selling for years and years is now their medium version, and they also have a fine point now too. So this thicker line really reminds me of the thickness of the Uniball Signal Broad white gel pen, but without the skipping. And I think it gets a really nice stark white line. So I think this pen might take the place of my holy grail Uniball Sigma Broad white gel pen. Time will tell if it starts to dry up really quick, but for now, this is actually my favorite white pen at the moment. So I prepped my card base. It is made out of some Neenah Solar White 110-pound cardstock. Put some extreme adhesive on the back from Tombow, and then press that down. And that finishes the card for today. Decided to keep it really simple, just a painted scene and then a border. You did see that I smudged a little bit of that white Jelly Roll pen, and to take that smudge off, I used a Tombow Mono Sand Eraser, and that cleaned up that smudge really clean. So that's the card for today. I hope you guys enjoyed. I'll be back very soon with another card inspiration video. Until then, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.